Have you ever had that weird feeling that something about a person just didn't add up, but you couldn't quite put your finger on what it was? You know when you feel like something's wrong, but everyone says you're being paranoid. If you've ever been through that, stop everything you're doing because this video could completely change the way you see the people around you. What I'm going to show you now are 10 clear signs that a person is not trustworthy, and if you recognize at least 4 of them in someone, you need to rethink that relationship today. These signs don't lie, and once you know how to spot them, you'll never be fooled again. And the first sign, which is also the most obvious but one that everyone ignores, is they never keep their promises. You know that feeling you get when someone promises you something and you kinda already know it's not going to work out? Yeah, that intuition isn't fooling you. Untrustworthy people have a habit of making promises they know they can't keep. Have you ever heard this phrase, "Don't worry about it, I'll take care of it for you"? If you hear that often from the same person, but in practice they never deliver, watch out. That's already a strong indication, and I'll tell you why. When someone constantly makes promises but doesn't keep them, it's not just disorganization or forgetfulness. It's an unconscious strategy to gain your trust in the moment without worrying about the consequences later. This person wants the benefits of seeming trustworthy without doing the necessary work to be trustworthy. Why does this happen? Because promising is easy, keeping promises is hard. And untrustworthy people always choose the easy way out, even if it means letting others down. They live in the moment of the promise. They don't think about the moment of reckoning. If this has happened to you several times with the same person, leave a comment sharing how you dealt with this situation and help other people who are going through the same problem. Sign number 2. They always have an excuse ready. Have you noticed that some people always have a perfect explanation for everything that went wrong? And the weirdest thing is that it's never their fault. If you know someone like that, pay attention, because this is a huge red flag. You know that person who, when you ask them about something, they immediately come back with, "Oh, but it's because this happened. It wasn't my fault. It's because so-and-so didn't tell me. I was going to do it, but then something unexpected came up." Sound familiar? The problem isn't having an occasional excuse. Everyone has unexpected things happen in life. The problem is when it becomes a pattern. When you notice that this person always has a justification ready to go, as if they'd already thought of it before you even asked. Why does it happen? Because untrustworthy people develop this skill of dodging responsibility. They become experts at finding scapegoats and external circumstances to blame. It's easier to make up an excuse than to admit they were wrong. And here's an important detail. Notice if their excuses always involve other people or situations that you can't verify. My internet went out. My phone broke. My boss kept me late. These are convenient excuses because they're hard to challenge. Sign number 3. They tell you other people's secrets. That moment when someone comes up to you and says, "Look, don't tell anyone, but so-and-so told me that..." If you've ever been in that situation, be careful with that person. Think about it. If they're telling you other people's secrets, what makes you think they aren't telling your secrets to others too? It's simple logic, but one that a lot of people ignore. Trustworthy people respect other people's privacy. When someone entrusts a secret to them, they take it seriously. But untrustworthy people use secrets as bargaining chips, as a way to gain your attention or seem important. Have you ever caught yourself thinking, "Wow, she knows everything about everyone"? That's not admirable. It's concerning. It means she can't keep confidential information, and if she can't keep others, she won't keep yours either. Why does this happen? Because gossip and betrayal give these people a sense of power and closeness. They feel like they're creating a special connection with you by sharing these secrets, but in reality, they're showing you exactly how you can expect to be treated when you're not around. And there's more. Pay attention if she speaks ill of people who are supposedly her friends. If she criticizes and exposes people she considers close, imagine what she says about you when you're not present. Sign number 4. Her stories never add up. You know when you talk to someone and notice the details of the story change every time she tells it, or when you notice she tells different versions of the same situation to different people. Have you heard her saying, "Oh, but I told you it happened like that," when you're sure she had told it differently? This inconsistency in stories isn't forgetfulness, it's a clear sign she's not being honest. Honest people have an advantage. They only need to remember the truth. Those who lie need to remember several different versions of the same story, and that's when things start not adding up. Have you noticed that when she tells something that happened to her, the details change depending on who's listening? For example, she tells you she argued with someone because the person was rude, but when she tells someone else, she says it was because the person betrayed her. Which one is true? Why does this happen? Because untrustworthy people adapt their stories to get the reaction they want from each person. They don't care about the truth, they care about the effect the story will cause. And there's one detail you need to notice. When you question any inconsistency, she quickly gets defensive. Instead of explaining naturally, she reacts as if you're attacking her. This happens because liars know they've been caught, even if they don't admit it. Sign number 5. She always wants to know about your life, but never shares hers. If you're one of those people who has someone in your life who asks 1,000 questions about you, but when you ask something about her, the answers are always vague and superficial, pay attention. Have you noticed that this person knows everything about your life? Where you work, who you hang out with, what problems you're facing? But you know practically nothing about her life? This isn't a coincidence. Untrustworthy people collect information about others as a form of power. The more they know about you, the more they can use it to their advantage in the future. But they rarely share personal information because they know it could be used against them. You know that conversation where you end up telling everything about a problem you're going through, and when you ask, "And you, how are things?" the answer is always, "Oh, everything's fine here," or "Nothing much." Sound familiar? Why does this happen? Because healthy relationships are based on reciprocity. When a person only receives information and never gives, they're creating a power imbalance. She wants to have cards up her sleeve about you, but doesn't want you to have anything about her. And notice one thing. When you try to deepen any subject about her life, she always diverts the topic back to you. "Oh, never mind that. Tell me more about that situation you were going through. It seems like genuine interest, but it's strategy." Now, I'm going to tell you something that will make you rethink many conversations you've had. If you notice that after talking with this person you always feel somewhat empty or exposed, it's because you gave a lot and received little in return. Sign number 6. They change their behavior depending on who is present. Have you ever had the strange experience of talking with someone when you're alone, and then seeing them act completely differently when other people show up? This isn't shyness, it's a lack of authenticity. You know when you're having a good conversation and suddenly someone they consider important arrives and they turn into a totally different person. Their voice changes, the topic changes, even their body posture changes. You're left there thinking, who is this person who was with me 2 minutes ago? Trustworthy people have consistency in their behavior. They might adjust the tone of the conversation depending on the setting, but their essence remains the same. Untrustworthy people are like chameleons. They change completely depending on who they want to impress. Have you ever felt somewhat invisible when a third person joined the conversation? As if you stopped existing because someone more interesting showed up for them to focus on. What I'm about to say will make you remember someone specific. They treat you well when they need you, but ignore you when there are bigger fish around. Why does this happen? Because untrustworthy people don't see relationships as genuine connections. They see them as transactions. Each person has a different value to them, and they adjust their behavior based on what they can gain from each one. And there's more notice if they talk about you differently to different people. With you, they're your best friend. With other people, you're just an acquaintance. This change in how they refer to you shows exactly how they really see you. Sign number 7. They always need to be right and never admit mistakes. Have you heard this phrase? I'm never wrong, only sometimes less right. If you know someone with this mindset, you're dealing with someone who has serious issues with honesty, especially with themselves. You know that person who, when you show them they made a mistake, does mental gymnastics to prove they were actually right. Or when they clearly said something wrong, but instead of admitting it, they say, "No, you misunderstood." Trustworthy people have the humility to recognize when they're wrong. They might even feel momentarily uncomfortable, but they can say, "You're right, I got confused." This shows emotional maturity and honesty. But untrustworthy people have such fragile egos that they can't admit faults. For them, being wrong is a threat to the image they've built of themselves, so they prefer to distort reality rather than accept they made a mistake. Why is this so dangerous? Because if they can't be honest about small mistakes, imagine about important matters. If they're capable of lying to themselves about obvious things, they'll certainly lie to you about things that really matter. And here's something you need to observe. When they're finally forced to admit a mistake, notice the language they use. Instead of, "I was wrong," they say things like, "Maybe I expressed myself poorly," or "I think there was a misunderstanding." They never take full responsibility. Sign number 8. They make you doubt your own perception. What I'm about to say now could save your mental sanity. If you consistently leave conversations with a person feeling confused about what really happened, this person is messing with your head intentionally. Have you ever experienced a situation where you were sure about something that happened, but after talking with this person, you started doubting your own memory? Was it really like that? Did I get it wrong? You know when you confront her about something she said or did, and her response is, "You're crazy, that never happened," or "You're making things up in your head." This has a name, and it's a very dangerous technique. Untrustworthy people who do this are trying to make you question your own reality. They know that if you doubt your perception, you'll stop questioning them and accept their version of the facts. Why does this work? Because we all have moments of doubt about our memory. It's natural to sometimes think, "Did I remember that right?" Manipulative people exploit this natural human vulnerability. And the cruelest part, the more time you spend with someone like this, the more you start doubting yourself in other areas of life too. Your self-confidence gets slowly eroded until you depend on her version to know what's real or not. If you've ever caught yourself thinking, "Am I really paranoid?" after interacting with someone, that's a huge red flag. People who truly care about you don't make you question your mental sanity. Sign number 9. She disappears when you need her most. That moment, when you're going through a serious problem and think, "I'll call so-and-so, she always says I can count on her." Then you call and she doesn't answer. You text and she takes days to respond. And when she does respond, it's something superficial like, "That's too bad, I hope it works out." Have you noticed that there are people who are always available when everything's fine, but mysteriously vanish when things get tough? They show up for parties but disappear during crises. You know that phrase you've probably heard, "Count on me for anything." If the person who said this is never available when you really need them, these are just empty words to appear like a good person. Why does this happen? Because being present during good times is easy and fun. Giving real support when someone's in difficulty requires effort, time, and emotional involvement that untrustworthy people aren't willing to offer. And there's a pattern you need to identify. After your crisis passes, she reappears as if nothing happened. She doesn't explain why she disappeared, doesn't apologize for her absence, just goes back to normal. As if you would forget that she abandoned you when you needed her most. Trustworthy people might not have all the answers to your problems, but they're present. They listen, they care, they try to help within their means. Genuine presence is worth more than 1,000 empty solutions. Sign number 10. She only contacts you when she needs something. And the last sign, which should be obvious but many people ignore, she only remembers you exist when she needs a favor. Have you noticed that there are people who only appear in your life when they want something? You know when you haven't heard from someone for months and suddenly get a message, "Hi, how are you? Miss you. Listen, do you think you could help me with something?" Sound familiar? What hurts the most isn't even the favor itself, but the manipulative way of getting to it. First comes the fake affection, the forced "miss yous," as if you were close, only to then reveal the real reason for contacting you. Have you ever caught yourself thinking, "Wow, it's been a while since so-and-so talked to me. How nice that she remembered me," only to discover 2 minutes later that she wanted something? That feeling of being used isn't you being oversensitive. It's your intuition warning you. Why is this so common? Because untrustworthy people see relationships as a utilitarian contact list. Each person serves a specific function, and they only activate each contact when they need that specific function. And notice one thing, When you can't help or deny the favor, how does she react? Genuine people understand and continue talking normally. Untrustworthy people get cold, cut the conversation short, and disappear again until they need something else. The simplest test: try to keep a conversation with them that isn't about the favor they asked. If they quickly try to end the chat or seem uninterested, you have your answer about their real interest in you. Now that you know the 10 signs, the burning question is, now what do I do? It's no use identifying untrustworthy people if you don't know how to deal with them, right? That's why I'm going to give you 5 practical actions you can start implementing today to protect yourself and still keep your peace of mind. Action number 1. Establish clear and firm boundaries. What to do? Define how far you allow these people into your life and be inflexible with these boundaries. How to do it? Start by identifying which behaviors you will no longer accept. If someone always cancels plans at the last minute, stop making important plans with them. If someone only reaches out when they need favors, start saying no more often. Why it works? Untrustworthy people constantly test your boundaries to see how far they can go. When you don't establish clear boundaries, you're signaling that you accept any treatment. But when you show that you have non-negotiable limits, many of these people will simply look for easier targets. The key here is consistency. It's no use setting a boundary on Monday and ignoring that same boundary on Thursday because you were in a good mood. Boundaries only work when they're always respected. And remember, you don't need to justify your boundaries to anyone. "I can't help this time" is a complete response. You don't owe explanations about why you chose to protect yourself. Action number 2. Stop sharing unnecessary personal information. What to do? Be more selective about what you share and with whom. Not every person deserves access to the details of your life. How to do it? Before sharing something personal, ask a simple question. What could this person do with this information? If the answer is nothing constructive or use it against me later, don't share it. When to do it? From now on, whenever you feel like venting or sharing something intimate, pause for a second and evaluate whether the person deserves that trust based on their history with you. Why it's important. Personal information in the wrong hands becomes ammunition. Untrustworthy people can use your secrets to emotionally blackmail you, spread them to others, or throw them in your face during arguments. And one important thing, don't confuse being private with being fake. You can be polite and friendly without serving your life on a silver platter. You can have interesting conversations talking about movies, work, hobbies, without needing to share your insecurities or family problems. Action number 3. Document problematic behaviors. What to do? Keep a mental or even physical record of the untrustworthy behaviors you observe. How to do it? When someone makes a promise, mentally or physically note what was promised and when. When someone tells a story, remember the main details. This isn't paranoia, it's protection. For whom? Especially important for people who are in relationships or partnerships where the other person's actions can directly affect you. Expected result: you'll stop questioning your own memory and perception. When you have concrete data, it becomes easier to identify patterns and make decisions based on facts, not feelings. And something crucial, when you document, you break the cycle of doubting yourself. Manipulative people count on the fact that you'll forget or minimize problematic behaviors over time. But when you have a record, it becomes impossible to deny reality. This also helps you explain to others why you no longer trust a certain person. Instead of coming across as drama or paranoia, you have concrete examples to back up your decision. Action number 4. Build your genuine support network. What to do? Invest time and energy in relationships with people who have already proven to be trustworthy instead of trying to fix problematic people. How to do it? Identify the people in your life who have always been there for you, who keep their promises, who respect you and value you. Dedicate more time to these people. When to do it? Start today. Send a message to someone you know genuinely cares about you. Schedule a coffee date. Make a plan. Strengthen that connection. Why it's essential. When you have healthy relationships in your life, it becomes easier to spot and distance yourself from the problematic ones. You won't accept crumbs of attention because you have people who give you the whole feast. And there's an extra benefit. Trustworthy people usually hang out with other trustworthy people. When you strengthen your network with people of integrity, you naturally gain access to more people of integrity. It's like a virtuous cycle. Also remember that healthy relationships need maintenance. Don't just wait to receive. Be a present and reliable person yourself for those who deserve your trust. Action. Number 5. Trust your gut and stop making excuses for others. What to do? When something feels off or wrong about someone's behavior, don't ignore that feeling. Your intuition is usually trying to protect you. How to do it? The next time you feel something isn't right, instead of thinking it must be my imagination, or maybe I'm overreacting, pause and ask yourself, what exactly is bothering me here? Expected outcome. You'll stop being a victim of your own kindness. You'll stop giving the benefit of the doubt to people who have already proven they don't deserve it. The hard truth is that we were taught to be polite and give everyone a chance, but this can become a vulnerability when dealing with people with bad intentions. Your intuition evolved over millions of years to keep you safe. Don't ignore it. And stop making up justifications for other people's inappropriate behavior. Oh, but she must be going through a tough time. Poor guy, he must have learned it from his family. These excuses only serve to make you accept poor treatment. Bonus action. Emergency action. If you realize that a person in your life shows several of these signs and is harming you, take drastic action immediately. Distance yourself from that person as quickly as possible. Don't try to explain, don't try to educate them, don't try to give them one last chance. Truly toxic people don't change because you ask nicely. They change when they lose access to you. And if this person is someone you can't completely avoid, like a coworker or a relative, minimize contact as much as possible and never let your guard down completely around them. Now you know exactly how to identify untrustworthy people, and more importantly, how to protect yourself from them. Remember that you are not obligated to accept any kind of treatment just to keep the peace or seem like a nice person. Healthy relationships are based on mutual respect, honesty, and reciprocity. If you're always giving more than you're getting, always feeling bad after interacting with someone, always doubting your own perception, it's because something is very wrong. Your peace of mind is worth more than any relationship that makes you question your own worth. And when you remove untrustworthy people from your life, you make room for genuine and enriching relationships to come in. Don't be afraid of being alone temporarily. It's better to be alone than in bad company. And when you raise your standards about who deserves your time and trust, you attract people who are on the same level. Starting today, you have the tools to identify the signs, set boundaries, and protect yourself. Use this information wisely, but use it. Your emotional and mental life will improve drastically when you stop accepting unreliable behavior from the people around you. And remember, you teach people how to treat you by what you accept. If you accept broken promises, you'll get more broken promises. If you accept disrespect, you'll get more disrespect. But if you show that you only accept dignified and respectful treatment, that's what you'll attract. Your self-esteem and peace of mind depend on the people you allow in your life. Choose carefully, defend your boundaries firmly, and never feel guilty for protecting yourself from people who don't deserve your trust. End. If this video helped you identify situations in your life, leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the bell, because we have much more content to help you have healthier relationships and a more balanced life. In the comments, tell me, how many of these signs have you identified in people in your life? And which of these actions will you put into practice first? Your experience can help other people who are going through the same situation.